Hey there, Alex here. Welcome to Sweet Spot Soul. I'm going to talk a little bit further on some of these what I'm calling distortions, the ways that we see ourselves that keep us in separation consciousness, that are keeping us from moving up the scales of consciousness up into fifth dimensional awareness. Okay, because that's really that space where we collapse the duality between our self and our spiritual self, which is your actual twin flame. Okay, it's that opposite of you. And so one of the big things to understand about the ego is, and again, always coming back to the scale, is that the higher we are in our physical realm, embodying our truth of who we really are, our wholeness and our godhood, right? Our own divinity, I should say, not calling us God, divine beings that we are, without an ego, an egoless state. We still have an ego, but not an egoic, distorted ego, okay? Not a separated ego. And then as we're further and further down the scale of consciousness, further distorted in the sense that we have these egoic constructs that are not true. They're not as source sees them. And that's what takes us further and further in separation. And it takes us further and further in separation with our own twin, which is ourself. Okay. So these different fragments of our soul that we just decided not to own anymore, fragments of ourself, of our ego, which is what causes it. I just made them in opposites here, like this. This is you in the fourth dimension, and again, the further down you are, it's a twisting motion like this as you come down from the from the highest levels of consciousness into the fourth dimension. You're living in the third dimension, okay, in the physical world, but the fourth dimension is time and space. We're aiming to collapse time and space to get to this realm of the fifth dimension, which holds everything. It holds everything in time and space. In past, present, future, there is no time nor space. There's no preferences. There's no hermetic principle laws of the 3D world, okay, of the physical world. None of that. There's no no preferences. There's no everything is just wholeness there, right? And then the sixth dimension, of course, is your spiritualized self that is literally the exact opposite of you here. So as you're coming down here, it's coming up here. It's not better. It's just another dimension. Okay. It's just a non-physical dimension. And then this incarnates as your twin in the physical world later. But this is where we have to do the work because the twin is just a result of this. So I put opposites here because these are polarized opposites because there's a twist here, right? So there's a wall, an energetic wall between, as long as you're in egoic consciousness, as long as you're down in the scales, because again, it's distorted and there's all of these parts of you that need to be reintegrated, soul retrieved, reintegrated into you in order to, again, collapse this duality. So what is it that keeps these things here? Okay, well, first of all, what are they? They're limiting beliefs. They are all the things. Belief systems that create limiting beliefs and distortions, things we believe about ourselves. I'm not this, I'm not that. We've taken our I am power and we have separated out from what's true. And we've made all these decisions, these incorrect limiting beliefs and decisions about ourselves to create an egoic structure we try to stay safe from. And then the energy of that, because we live in a world of duality world is all based in fear. Not based in love and unity. It's based in fear because everything has an opposite. So we always have to judge. And so if you always have to judge, because we live in a world of opposites, up, down, black, white, good, bad, however we want to judge it, by judging it, we then have to uphold that judgment, right? So we have to uphold it, which is what creates fear, because if I don't uphold it, then I'm going to be in danger. And then if it doesn't uphold, then you get angry. And so you'll start to see how the fear-based energy works is the ego, in order to, in a sense, stay alive, needs to defend itself all the time. I talk about this on my other channel. It needs to defend itself in order to maintain its existence. And as long as you believe with separation consciousness that you are this physical being and this ego, then you're going to defend that. And that is fear-based energy. And you defend it by doing things that you think are going to bring you joy and keep you safe. And you do that by pushing away things that you think are going to bring you pain. So it's attraction and aversion. attraction and aversion. Again, two sides. It's a world of duality. It's all based in fear. So, whether you're feeling incredibly elated, or you're feeling incredibly depressed, they're both based in fear. And it's ironically in a horizontal, regular, normal relationship, it's like you fall in love and immediately fear is born because you're the fear of the loss of that love, because suddenly that love, and we get attached, and then we hang on to it. And oh my God, we have to preserve it. We get attached to our ideas. We get attached to our identities. We get attached to all kinds of false things. Okay. So that's what fear-based energy is. And so when you're looking outside of yourself to the physical twin, who is you pushed out into the physical 3D form, and you have the opposite, the polarized opposite, like same stuff that's been pushed out, because it's you guys, it's you. You have the same distorted belief, only that your physical twin is going to feel as well, only in an opposite kind of flipped way, but it's still the same. You can't deal with that with the twin, with the physical twin. It can't be done there. The work has to be done here, but you get to do that. You get to actually take care of this, which will take care of it here, or it'll make its way out. So you'll see, you take care of it here, you take care of it here, then it has to work its way out of the physical twin. So they're still going to have to feel it, but they don't know what's going on, but they're going to have to feel it. I'm going to draw the little physical twin over here. Okay. That we're not really focusing on, because if we do, we just stay in separation consciousness, and then we go into more fear. So we get to clear these up one at a time, but then again, it still has to manifest here. There's time and space that needs to happen to be in the third dimension, right? That's the fourth dimension. So you might be collapsing it here, which is collapsing it here, but it still needs to collapse in the 3D. Okay. So what I wanted to bring up in this, when it comes to fear-based energy, highs and lows and whatever, everything in between, goods and bads, things you're angry about, and so on. What I wanted to share, what was it exactly that I wanted to share about that? I had a point. That the ego is addicted to that. Okay. So you're addicted to wanting to feel the wholeness because you got a glimpse of it. That's your truth. That's pulling you. But your ego in the 3D is trying to defend all of its beliefs, its distorted beliefs. It wants to defend all of that. So that's something to become aware of. So as you're on this journey and you're like, how do I heal all of this stuff? It's not just, okay, well, I'm not a victim. No, I can just change that. It's recognizing the energy in reacting to anything, really, but anything in the world, but particularly if it's coming from your physical twin. But when you recognize, oh, I'm feeling that victimhood, it's seeing the energy behind it that's in a way wanting to uphold itself, right? To get its fix. And so your ego wants to get its fix, and fill itself up and keep itself, bolstered up. And it's going to do this in different ways. For some people, it's self-aggrandizing. Other people, it's self-deprecating. For me, it was self-deprecating. It was always all this, stuff. I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this. And with other people, it's more boastful. And so very often you're going to see this dynamic in your physical twin, that very often you'll be the one who's like, oh, I feel like the victim, that they're running away, all of these things. And what's going on with the other one? The flipped opposite. And their fear-based energy is making them propping up, and they're going out. They're heading out, and they're probably acting up in ways with that energy in them, fear-based energy, that is definitely not what you're feeling, not how it's displaying for you. So very opposite. So just another thing to take note of. But again, we're not trying to fix anything there, but your fear-based energy is going to want you to judge that. And it's going to want you to tell stories about that and to try to fix that or understand it or whatever, and watch tarot readings to see if that's going to change. That's where you get caught in the horizontal fear-based stuff. And we want to go vertical and work with yourself. Okay. So that's why I'll keep bringing this visual up until it really, really sinks in with you guys. This is you, this is your twin flame. Okay. And the physical is just this beautiful mirror, physical version of it that you think is going to complete you, but there's nothing not whole about you. You just have to remember that you're whole, and then this will come along with it. and everything else that you want, because everything else you want is also your twin flame. By the way, everything is. Everything here that is you, the good, bad, and the ugly, all of it is accomplished here. It's like, this is your perfect complement. So as you collapse duality, not just will your physical twin come in, but all the abundance and everything else that's like your soul, everything else that is you, that is the real whole you without the distortion, is going to come into truth and into reality. So when you worry about money, right, or the abundance, that was a big one for me. Recognize that that's going to collapse that too. All of that lack is going to collapse as well. So you might be, so for me, that's how it really showed up. It wasn't so much, like I was able to let go of the twin pretty well. I mean, it hurt, it was hard, but what I recognized was there was something in me, this worthiness thing, of course, but there was a lack in me that was like, oh, save me. And I wanted my physical twin to fix my distorted lack thinking about money because I didn't feel worthy from some wound, right? So I had to deal with the wound of not being worthy that I could address the lack with, instead of saying, I'm not worthy and I'm lacking and I need something outside of me in the 3D to fix it. And this particular being that I met, who was like put on a pedestal, we attach and say, this is everything, because it felt like God, right? And so that's again part of the paradox. So when you realize, like, no, we cannot even work with this. We can't work with this at all. We need to deal with the worthiness issue here and the lack mentality as we move our way up, okay? And work into this, it collapses all of that. And so the abundance comes, and all the love, and it's all self-sourced, you guys. It's all within you. It's all within you. It's not outside of you. That's all just the reflected world. It's just your twins are really, really, really amazing reflection of this, right? It's incredible. It's really, really, really cool when you start to see it this way, because you can welcome it in a new way. And I'm really hoping that this little series here has helped you to be able to see and get into the collapsing that inner duality. The click will happen at a certain point. Maybe this will help it, but also, again, recognizing the fear-based energy is trying to keep this distortion alive. It's trying to keep all of those limiting beliefs. It's upholding everything it believes to be true. This is why I do what I do. And this is not a sales pitch, guys. I dismantle whole belief systems, line by line by line, according to where these energies are alive in you. Okay, they're mapped out on thousands of mind maps that literally pull out statements and that build a belief system that's creating this difficulty. Mine it all out and take it all down, and we're bringing it up to consciousness, to light, and then overriding it with love, with high frequency. And so, like, that's why I get so passionate about this, because after a lifetime of psychotherapy and going into the mind and trying to figure it out, getting into energy and actually balancing energy and what was active in the moment, without just having to wait for it to hit me all the time, was, like a godsend, and a relatively new modality, relatively, maybe not, but that's come online at this time. No mistakes there either. And really the day-to-day work, the moment-to-moment work in dealing with that fear-based energy is to welcome it, to recognize it's bringing a distortion to your attention, to the light, for you to see it differently, to ask questions. Why is this happening? Why did I attract this? What is it that this is trying to show me? What in me is this trying to show me? This could be with anything that causes any constriction at all within you. And then that, again, collapse, and you move up the scale of consciousness. I want you to see that triangle right there as this scale of consciousness. You're moving your way up, and you're moving into that fifth dimensional space where the twin flame, which is you pushed out, can meet you again here. And then the poles, the magnetic poles, come back together. So I'll keep digging more and more into what are these distortions, how to work with them, how to recognize the fear-based energies, and work with them. So long as you promise me you're going to keep working on not focusing on the twin and the separation, and see the separation as a gift, because it gives you time to do this, knowing that this is where the work is. This is what's going to collapse time into the fifth dimension where there is no time and space, and manifestations happen quicker and quicker and quicker. Because down here, the lower down here you are, and the lower in the scale of consciousness, the greater the distance of manifestation and the more mind power it's going to take. So if you've been separated from your twin for a really long time, your physical twin, you're not really separated. You know this now. But if your physical twin is far, far away, then you're just still lower in the consciousness. And that's, again, the paradox, because now you're like really in grief and you're ashamed that you haven't gotten the work done before or sooner. You're in fear that it's never going to happen. Now you're like really, it creates more distance, and that creates, more time, right? But when you start to see this, it can collapse instantly, and we can get into the frequency of the fifth dimension. This is where soul is, right? I mean, it's all soul, but this is where you're going to merge with soul. And so when everybody says, get into soul, get into soul, get into soul, that's where you're going. Right here. We're just collapsing the separation consciousness into this space. And that's where you meet your twin, right? Beautiful. And then it can manifest in the physical. And there might be a void of time, a space of time, of course, before that can happen. But we have to just stay the course and recognize it's already done. It's already done in the fifth dimension. You're always together. You're always in union. It's just the time and space needs to get collapsed. And all of the manifestation is going to happen too. So again, for me, it was fear, and it was a lack of money fear. And oh my gosh, and I wanted to find my twin to fix it for me because they were the perfect one that could fix it for me in my head, which is ridiculous. And any time I would put any energy towards that, he's like, no way. Like, and I wasn't like save me, but if I had any lack around it and that energy, I literally could watch him pull. I'd watch him. He just would not have that conversation. Would not have it, because inside, underneath my talking about being afraid, because I had just, changed my job, not changed my job. I had a business partnership that needed to end, and it ended. And I was like, what am I going to do now? I have to get back into coaching. I have to, whatever, which was fine because I loved the work. I was always still doing it, but it wasn't my main source of income at the time. And so I had to let that go. And he witnessed that fear coming up, but underneath that fear, or that he witnessed the lack, but underneath it, the fear that was in a way feeding, that was pushing him away, was this feeling of maybe he can save me, something outside of me can save me, which made him more and more separate and made me more and more a victim, which brought me further down the scale of consciousness, which made it more distance between us. So hope you're following. Okay, so I hope that helps you to understand a little bit more about that fear-based energy and how that can show up, and how that dynamic kind of fits. I'm just flying off the seat of my pants here. So hopefully you're tracking with me. Do let me know in the comments, give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in, doing any work with me, all the information is down below. So you can check that out and see if it's a resonance for you. All right. Thanks so much.